Welcome back, everyone, to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast. I'm Mark Givler. Got Kevin Noon here on our signing day, 2020 class of 2024 recruiting capsules. We're going one by one through all the guys as they sign, talking a little bit about the recruiting process, talking a little bit about the type of game they play, what strengths, weaknesses, looking at some film, what their role might be at Ohio State, and kind of the outlook of those positional rooms at Ohio State that these guys are walking into. Just kind of a quick 10 minutes or so on each guy, just kind of going through everything and giving you guys a little bit of surface level information on everything as the LOIs come in. So we are at 4-star safety, Jaylen McClain out of North Jersey. This was kind of an interesting recruitment. Ohio State offered back in March, which was kind of a late offer. He wasn't on the radar that long. They offered him in March, and then they got the June visit and were able to secure the summer commitment. USC was involved very heavily. Notre Dame was very heavily involved. Ohio State was able to beat those programs out. There was a point in time it looked like they weren't sure if they were going to get him, maybe go to Notre Dame, but they win the battle, get a versatile defensive back prospect, Kevin.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all I hear now is how Ohio State doesn't win these types of battles. Well, apparently that's not the case. Ohio State did beat out USC and Notre Dame here. I do think there were a couple of tense moments at the time. I mean, this is not one that we're talking about, much beyond his June commitment date. It's something that kind of rode through, but you look at Ohio State's system, you certainly need to make sure that you keep bringing in safety talent. And I like what Jaylen McClain's game is. I mean, I like these North Jersey guys. I think that, you get a lot of talent out of there. Ohio State certainly recruits Jersey well. If Rutgers ever really locks down that area, I think everybody else is going to be in trouble in some regards. I'm not saying that Rutgers would be back just based on that, but Ohio State has gone out there and been able, last year goes out and gets Jane Bonsu. This year goes out and gets Jaylen McClain. Who's going to be the Jaylen for 2025 out of that area?
Yeah, it's a great area for talent. Those North Jersey kids are really talented. Just a lot of great high school football programs up there. This was a guy that was kind of handpicked by Perry Eliano. This was one of their top, kind of blossomed by the spring into one of their top safety targets. This wasn't like a late addition or anything like that. This was a guy that I think Eliano went and saw during the spring evaluation period and kind of fell in love with. But again, you talk about some versatility. Here he is kind of in the slot and, running with a receiver and can do some things in coverage, able to make play on the ball there. It's a great interception. But he's also a very physical kid. I mean, he can come up and really hit you in the mouth. He's excellent in run support. He's a guy who can kind of ball hawk back there in the secondary. There's not a lot of guys usually in an Ohio State class that I look at and I'm like, man, he's really underrated, because all their guys are like so highly rated that usually there's only like 2 or 3 guys I look at. I'm like, boy, I think they might have underrated this kid. And McClain's probably one of those 2 or 3 for me in this class. Just a tough, athletic kid. I think probably a free safety. Reminds me a little bit of Jordan Fuller. I think probably a free safety at Ohio State, but I think he could probably play either of the safety spots.
Yeah, they should be so lucky as to get another Jordan Fuller who, all he did was get really, passed over a lot in the draft and then goes and plays for the LA Rams and has, a nice run there. But, he's somebody who I think I do like him as a free as well. But, you don't know. I mean, of course, Jim Knowles has all of his little names for every position or whatever. And that's all well and good. And one day I'm going to get them all down because, again, it's a 4-2-5 to me. We can sit there and talk about whatever you want to, but it's a 4-2-5, but he's an impressive kid. He's got good recovery speed when needed. I mean, he's got the physicality and yeah, I mean, we saw like on the second highlight there, I mean, he just sat there and really came out of nowhere and made a huge play on the ball. So, I mean, I like what I've seen out of the game, and it's not like he's coming out of New Jersey, not New Hampshire. So, I mean, he's playing against some dudes. So I put a little bit more weight on the film that I see from him.
Yeah, he's just a really good tackler. I really like his game. I mean, I think he can be a kind of a Lathan Ransom type for them back there. And I think this is one that, again, maybe flew under the radar a little bit. You get a couple of those a year, but I think this is probably one of them. Keeping the North Jersey stuff rolling, I think, is important. We don't know what the safety room is going to look like right away. I think they're still waiting on a Lathan Ransom decision. What does Sonny Styles' role look like next year? Does he get moved a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, whether that be a linebacker or kind of an edge, or kind of what do they do with him? We assume Jihad Carter is going to give them something next year. And, they've got some young guys to look at, but, Kai Stokes goes to the portal. Cameron Martinez goes to the portal. There's some opportunity there to kind of get into that two deep. I think they'll probably consider adding a safety. Kamari Ramsey's a big name right now that hasn't made a decision, that just made a visit to Ohio State. I think that's a possibility to help the Buckeyes. But there's room there for someone to be like Malik Hartford next year, where Malik got to start a game and got to play some decent snaps this year. I think there's room for somebody to emerge in that type of way as a first or second year player. And, it could be Jaylen McClain.
Yeah, we talk so much about, well, the path to the field is through special teams, but this is another player that you just sign right up for special teams right at this point and get them involved and get them used to the speed of the game. The college game is, there is a huge step from high school to college, as there is from college to the pros. Get him into there. I mean, and yeah, I think that the Malik Hartford, comparison in terms of what his path could be to getting to the field is very real. And we certainly have seen, the game is, players are so big and fast and strong and everything else. You got pair and a spare. You got to have some depth. And I think that getting these guys ready as quickly as possible is huge, because you don't want to have a huge drop off if you are having to bring a true freshman in game 8 of the season and, he doesn't know left from right or anything like that. Because remember, Hartford did come in early in the season, had a little bit of a rough start, needed some more seasoning, and then, looked a lot better. So, I think that everybody can kind of use that as a cautionary tale of, I'm king, what, coming out of high school. Well, you haven't shown anything yet in the collegiate game. So, you need to make sure that you're ready.
Yeah. And again, this is a kid who I think will not be intimidated physically. He loves to throw his body around. I think he's a fairly college-ready body, so it's just a matter of, okay, you've got to pick up the defense. Mistakes in the secondary are magnified as you go up each level. I think maybe more than almost anything else in the game that we talk about is these little mistakes in high school where you use your recovery speed and you break up a pass, you do that. It's a touchdown in college, or it's at least a big play. And these are the things that you kind of have to get out of your system. And the only way to do that is by reps and kind of failing a little bit. And, we saw Malik Hartford kind of have his ups and downs, but, very bright future there. And so that's, I think, maybe the path for McLean this year. So we will see if he's able to do that. But again, the safety room has been, regardless of what Lathan Ransom decides, the safety room has been largely cleared out. You've lost some guys to graduation. You've lost some guys to the portal. There is an opportunity there to get in on the two deep in some capacity if you can prove yourself early. So we'll see if Jaylen McClain's able to do that. Big day for the Buckeyes, obviously, here, signing their 2024 recruiting class. We have a live stream going on this very YouTube channel. So if you're watching these, head on over to the live stream, ask some questions if we didn't answer them about, whatever player we're talking about. And if there's some unanswered stuff, we'll be there answering questions as long as you guys want to ask them. So check that out. Check out our other recruiting capsules as they roll in. We'll be posting them as the LOIs come in, and appreciate everyone watching, listening, and we'll have another one for you soon.